Okay, well, hi everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. Liam Hartree back with you with another episode of Presenting Champions, and today I'm joined by a very special former boxing talent. Today's guest, Noel Wilders, who back in the day was the IBO World Champion, EBU European and British Champion, all at bantamweight. This man had a stellar career in boxing. Was in some very exciting fights. We're going to be talking obviously about some of the highlights of his career, some of his proudest moments, the dedication and the mindset that it took to reach the top of the boxing world. We're going to be talking a little bit about what his life is like now. And we're also going to be talking about some advice for any aspiring fighters out there. Some of you watching this, maybe if you're in the amateurs, maybe if you're doing something like that, there'll be a few tips for you as well. Some things to do, maybe some things not to do, stuff like that. Noel and myself have both had a hell of a day. Let's just say that we'll leave it at that. But we've managed to make time for this anyway. So yeah, like I was saying, mate, before now, super grateful for your time with everything you've had going on, and it's great to have you on the show, mate. Thank you very much.
No problem, Liam. No problem.
Yeah. Good. So, okay then, let's talk about a few things, past, present, and future. Now, when it comes to your boxing career, I mean, I would love to talk about so many different fights. We won't have time for everything. We'd be here
Mm.
until next week, I think, if we talked about all of it. So, what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to start off with a pretty big question, but obviously, with everything you won, like I mentioned, European champion, British champion, IBO world champion, etc., some of these big fights you were in. Are there some that you're more proud of than the others? Or basically, when you look back on your career now, which ones are some of your favorite moments or your favorite fights, please, mate?
I've got to say, when I won British title against Francis Sampofo, that
Yeah,
was, I think, with the adrenaline and the fans and all that, and the build up and first title and being unbeaten, I think that was the most special one. What I took pride from. Yeah, definitely.
absolutely. Amazing achievement and something to be very proud of against a top contender. Now, people always want to hear about toughest fights and things, but I also want to give this just a little sort of bit of context because when it comes to toughest fights, as you know, it's not just people who hit the hardest or whatever. I mean, a lot of times it's when I ask people about this, it's something that's going on in their life outside of the ring. You know, they had to focus through that to win or to do well anyway. And there's a lot of things that don't go to plan behind the scenes, and sometimes people can still pull through that and win, if you get what I mean. So
Yeah,
when
yeah,
it comes to you, what were maybe one or two like that, if there were things going on behind the scenes, but you still succeeded or you still did well, if you get what I mean?
yeah. Well, the one where a lot went on when I lost my European title. Um, away day before weighing, I was like 2 pound over. You know, after training, went home, drank a bit of water, and I didn't realise I drank a bit too much over the night. Went to check weight scales at mix in the morning of the weighing, and I put 7 or 8 pounds on. So that was a shock, and that drained me. Totally took it out of me, for the fight. Got the weight back down, but obviously on the day of the weighing, the fight, it just took it all out of me. I was shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something interesting for people because they don't hear about the behind the scenes things always, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment.
Yeah.
Couple of quick and easy ones as well with this. Hardest puncher you faced? People always want to know that. Who was that out of everybody?
Um, to be honest with you, David Grohl that was European, but I think I was weight gain. But um, I didn't like fighting southpaws. I was southpaw myself, and I've got to give when I was coming through ranks, I fought in my first fight when I fought him, Jason Thomas. Uh, he was he was tough cookie. He had a nice left hand, and a right hook. So yeah, um, I was quick, you see, so in and out. So I really didn't take a lot of punches, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, it's David Grohl because I got cleaned out with him. I got knocked down with him. I think that was hardest. He was southpaw as well, so I always struggled with southpaws. Obviously, because you didn't see many. I'm a southpaw myself, and you don't normally see two southpaws in ring together. So it's always a bit of a scrappy fight.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That's a good point, actually. The southpaws. And when you look back on these different fights now, which one do you regard to be your best performance, just in terms of pure boxing? When you look back and you just think that was the one that, or maybe it's more than one, but where everything just went sort of perfect in the ring for you.
Um, well, I won every title in Wakefield. Can't remember what level I fought there after that when I fought. That I think I stopped him about 5 or 6 rounds. I can't do. I can't even think of most of the lads that I fought because it's been that long and time goes by. That was a good fight, but I take a lot of pride in the British title. And when I come back from a failed brain scan and I come back and fought for European title in France, that was a good performance because I just outboxed her like completely. And on the scorecards, I only just won, but obviously would have been a whitewash if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, I do. I hear you. That's another thing, actually. I mean, obviously, when you win something massive like that, like the EBU, like the British, and everything, and you win a big title like that, people watch the fight, which is one thing. But can you describe like what went through your mind in, well, either of those? Let's say the British, the European, or the IBO, any of them. When you win something as big as that, can you describe like the feeling that you get, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it's all that hard work, what you've done, all that training, all that dieting, etc. People don't see what rounds you do sparring, how tough it is and doing the early mornings and late, and just a relief that it's over and the adrenaline rush what you get when your hand goes up. It's a feeling like I can't explain. Yeah, it's like winning lottery. If I ever won lottery, it's that so it just overwhelms you. You're speechless if you know what I'm saying. Because if you don't train so hard and dedicate so long, and for all that 3 minutes to come, you won it, you've got the titles. It's an unbelievable feeling what you have.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's amazing to hear about it because some people can put it into words. Some people tell me they can't put it into words and it's just beyond anything like that. But, it's amazing to hear about it because it's something that people don't experience unless they've done it. Now, you touched on something interesting there, obviously, with the training, and I'll go into that in a moment. But something that fascinates me about boxing is obviously you have to be very mentally strong as well as physically strong. It's something that's very important. And I was curious, like, how you would handle or how you learned to handle the build up to these big fights in terms of like handling the adrenaline and the nerves and the pressure, these type of things, and keeping yourself in a positive frame of mind before a fight. And but different people have different ways of doing this, but I was just curious what your ways were
Yeah.
for that.
I trained it for especially the last couple of weeks. I always kept, but I'm a popular person around where I live, so obviously I sell tickets. I'm a good ticket seller and all that. I got out selling a lot of people, a lot of friends, etc. But the last couple of weeks, I always try and keep a low profile. It's because it's a lot of pressure coming now. It's the final 2 weeks, especially the final week. The nerves are kicking in, and you go cut the food down. The training's just relaxing now. You're just ticking over, and it's that 7 days before when you start, doing less and less. That's when it starts kicking in again. You're thinking it's gonna be here soon, it's gonna be here soon. It's getting closer, it's closer, and you go to bed and all you're thinking. I was thinking about it 24/7. The last week, thinking what I'm gonna do, how the fight's gonna play out. I plan the fight out about a million times in my head and what's gonna happen. But obviously, you don't know until you get there, until you start fighting. But yeah, it just keeps running, you repeating that cycle.
Absolutely, yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And again, it's something that the fans don't see. Other fighters will understand about it, but the fans they don't see that. And can you share with us like little bit about your training regime and what you were doing day to day, but back in the day when you were doing all this, and a little bit of a breakdown of like your routine basically.
Yeah, used to run on the morning, 6, 7 o'clock. Do about sometimes 4, 8 mile. Between 4 and 8 mile, depending. For 12 round fight, yeah, train at dinner time. We make it rather be sparring on or be doing a pad work at the training session. Then I come back at night and do same again. Pads, exercises, etc. Doing some more running. Just it, the pads always got me better, with sharpness and the sparring. The sparring's top notch because that gets you, your timing perfect. I start off slow because it takes time to build up. Because if you start punching in, the punch snaps straight away, then you can overtrain. But it always took me a few weeks to get back into sparring, before it started falling into place, my punches were landing, etc. So yeah, we look, build up for last 3 or 4. We always train 3 times a day and had one day off a week.
Yeah, so that's the breakdown of what it took to take you to such a high level. Okay, cool. And the other thing you mentioned about sparring there, I wonder if we could get maybe one or two sparring stories or maybe a couple of highlights that you remember from top lads you spar with. There's probably a lot of stories, but maybe if there's one or two that stand out to you,
Yeah,
that would be cool.
before I went title, I did quite a bit of sparring with Michael Brody. He was super bantamweight, I was bantam, but yeah, I think I started sparring with him. I had about 12 or 14 fights, and went over to Manchester and sparred a lot of rounds with him. And they were tough rounds. He was solid. He was one of the hardest punches I've been in with. He could bang. But see, it's really, really strong. Um, who else as well? Uh, Ending my career, I sparred with Naz, but I couldn't even lay a hand on him. I went to his gym, it would look just like a palace. So yeah, that were experience. But who else did I spar with? I went over to Spain, Tenerife, and I sparred with Peter Culshaw. He were quick. Um, but I had a lot of wars with my brother Harnick. He used to box. We used to spar and we used to have knock hell out of one another. We used to have some right tear ups. And training used to stop us a few times because all his faces was just complete mess.
Some good memories there by the sound of it. I can tell from when you look back. So yeah, we've talked about that side of things. And what was the best place that you fought in terms of like somewhere, if you think back now, where the crowd was just electric and the audience or the reception that you got from people? Was there anywhere that stands out above the others in that side of things?
Yeah, it's got to be Peter Lee when I boxed up British Style. I had a couple hundred people travel up there. It's about an hour and a half away from where I live. So we were up northeast. So that atmosphere in the sports hall and the atmosphere were absolutely electric. You could hear them all 20 minutes before I went out into the ring and shouting my name. And it just all erupted when I went. So that's got to be one of the best times with the crowd behind me, definitely.
Yeah, good memories, absolutely. I have to ask though, I mean, even though we've talked about your proudest moments and everything like that, when it comes to anything, if you look back now, if there's any regrets or if there's anything you would do differently when you look back on your career to give it sort of the complete picture, especially for the young fighters, we'll talk about that now. But is there anything you would change or do differently now, or would you do it all the same?
I do this keep the same, but the thing what I would it's doing the weight. I think the easiest part's the fighting. It's making the weight, especially when you're out, lighter weights, etc. It's harder for the lighter weights. When you're getting older and older, it's harder. You can lose the weight at first, but when you get older, it seems to take longer and longer, and it's harder and harder. And yeah, the preparation for when I lost that European, it was just all just went tits up for me, and I've got regrets about that. And that haunted me because I shouldn't have lost that fight. I was winning it. I lost it. I lost the fight on the scales, and yeah, that's something I've always had to live with. But it's the weight, yeah, that definitely making the weight, and that losing that European title like down to me, and I would have approached it differently and cut certain things out and made sure I didn't have a drink. You know what I'm saying? If I look back, but obviously it's in our sign. If you can look back and change, then everybody would do it, won't they? So it's one of them what you got to live with.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the brutal honesty because there's always something, and I only ask that not to dwell on anything like that, but just in case people can pick up some tips and things from it, which leads me to something because obviously you had a great career, you're a very inspiring person, and a lot of young lads coming through now, boxing's a different game, so not everything applies. But in terms of if you could share, and I know this is a big question, so we'll have to narrow
Yeah,
it down to a couple of things, but maybe a couple of things, key things that you would say to young boxers that want to succeed that they should do, and maybe one or two things that they should sort of avoid or leave out of it as well, if there's
yeah.
anything that comes to mind.
It's the when you're in the gym, you can work in the. It's the outside the gym. You got to balance it. And if you let the outside take over, the inside when you're doing the work inside the gym, you're gonna get distracted because I got distracted. A lot of people, you in town, you get a lot of friends, you go out a lot, and sometimes you can go out too much. And I think you got to, if you want to be you're a professional boxer, you got to be professional about it. You've got to cut the party life out to the boxing, train, and it's only a short career is boxing, a very short career, and I wish I did that. Didn't bother going out, just kept me sent to my son, trained hard, fought. Fair enough, enjoy a few times, but then you can overdo it if you know what I'm saying. That's the because you do get a lot of friends when you start winning titles, etc. You still get a lot of people, seeing you and wanting to be near you, etc. So yeah, there's always always gonna get then you're gonna get jealous people as well from around where you live.
Yeah, yeah, that's some good advice. That's some very good advice, to be fair. Obviously from someone who's been there and done it. So,
You just got to keep the heads down and like if they're good, and just concentrate on the boxing. And like I said, it's a very short career. When they get to 30, then start, they can do whatever. Then it's only like say you're in boxing for about 5 or 10 years, whatever, and one punch ends it all. You're back down to the bottom.
yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, there's always plenty of time for all the mates and all the good stuff later on in there. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to put the time into boxing while you're there. Um, these days, though, I mean, when you walk through like your local areas and things like that, I mean, do you still get the recognition now? Do you still get people stop you and people remember your fights and everything?
Yeah, still get that. Like, I'm from a place where it's always rugby league, Castleford, around this area, it's rugby league, and a lot of friends are rugby players, ex players, etc. So it was a good thing for the area because boxing, there's not many clubs around here for amateur, never mind pro. So it was good for the area to achieve it, for somebody to achieve something totally different to what normally goes on. You always get, oh, he's a rugby player, he's a rugby player, but nothing like as being a professional boxer, etc. So yeah, it was good for the area. I think I get a lot of people still talk. Made a lot of nice friends through boxing. Through people come to watch me fight, etc. It's been an eye opener, and you do meet people who you would never meet, normally, and you do stand out. So you got to uh, appreciate that at the time.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. The fame and everything is an interesting topic. So moving into your life, obviously after boxing and things like that. I mean, can you share with us a little bit about it's a big question again, sorry, but a little bit about your life after stepping away from boxing and a little bit of what you've been doing, anything that you feel comfortable sharing with that
Yeah,
side of it.
yeah. I'll be honest, I won't lie to you. After that European title loss, made one there, I really should have packed him because the weight were killing me, etc. And I had a few more fights, but I fell out of love with the game. When you fall out of love with the game, you might well pack in, And I've done it. I've been boxing since I was 10 years old. 65 amateur fights, 29 pro, and I should have walked. I should have just me out wanting it or had a few more fights, but I didn't train, the buzz, the excitement, everything had gone, and I just went in for the money, and really I shouldn't have done because there were a couple of fights where I just wasn't bothered, my attitude just went, and I just went downhill, and I retired. Then obviously hanging out with mates, so we're going out a lot, etc. As you do, and I was with Gil who I lived with. But after the European title fight, me and they split up. Not nothing to do with it. It was just down to me. I just lost it a bit. So we split up, and I just had a crazy 3 or 4 years. Being single and out, etc. Then I thought I've got to grow up here. If I carry on like this, I'm 33. But what's going to happen? So yeah, I got made down. I had a job. Then I met me. the girl I'm with now, she sorted me out. She's been together 15 years, so if it weren't for her, who knows, I could have been in jail anyway.
That's good. That's good, mate. I mean, yeah, it is something about boxing, though, isn't it? Is there's not that safety net or there's nothing to fall back on, and it's one of those things where, I mean, this is talked about a lot, isn't it? But a lot of other sports, they do have those plans or they have something in place for people when they finish up. Whereas with boxing, it's just like you finish up, and it's just like the abyss. It's like, what do I do? What's going on? And it's something I feel very strongly about because there should be some protection in there for people, or at least some guidance or something, to even just somebody to point the way and say you should do this, you should do that, and they're left to their own devices. A lot of boxers, and it's not good. So,
I agree
um,
with you on that. I totally agree.
yeah.
There's nothing there. When you've been up there, you don't get paid a lot of money by the time everybody take their cut off you, etc. You can't make it last. You're training full time. You're spending. You got bills to pay, etc. And when you walk away from it, you got to get a job. There's nothing there. And all other sports, they try and help you. Into work, try and give you uh, apprenticeship or give you some sort of degree. Try and work into there's something after football, rugby, etc. But with boxing, they just see you later. That's it. There's nothing at all to fall back on. There's no support, nothing.
Yeah, I mean it's a big thing. I mean I've done things with this with like some of the ringside charitable trust stuff and things like this in the past of these type of organizations where they're trying to help boxers. But really the promoters I think should be doing that because as you say, I mean the sport's an amazing sport, what you can achieve, being the best version of yourself and all this. But it does chew some people up and spit them out the other side, as well in the nicest way I can think of putting it. And there should be some protection. So maybe anyone listening to this, we can work on that. I also obviously on the subject of boxing as a sort of as a bigger picture, if you like. Since you were in the game, there's been a lot of changes in the sport, in the way it works, and in the way everything from the way the financial side of it works and people paying to watch to all this stuff going on now with people from other sports crossing over and on all this. Obviously, tonight we got the AJ and Nagano. I mean, by the time people watch this, that fight will have happened. So, that's fine. But, boxing is very different. So can you share with us maybe again both sides of the coin, right? One or two things you like maybe about how it's changed, maybe one or two things you don't like. It's too big of a topic to talk about everything, but just maybe one or two of your views
Yeah,
on that
I'm
side.
not. I'm not happy about these YouTubers and all that. I think they're ruining the sport. They're getting paid millions, and they haven't put their dedication out, all the hard work in what the boxers have. Up and coming boxers, and I can't I can't fault them. They're making a lot of money, but it's it's ruining the sport. It's definitely ruining the sport because the the they're no good. Some of them are no good, like Jake Paul, and they're getting paid millions and millions, and the people who are fighting him, they're laughing, to Tyson's brothers. He's coining at him because he's had a couple of easy fights, and he would have got about 5 or 6 grand for any of them fights, on a front bar and a front any other shows, and they're getting paid millions. And I'm not happy about that. They should stop that now. And people, they shouldn't be recognised. Yeah, I'm strongly about that because they shouldn't be making all that money. For all the hard work what goes in with lads what are trying to get there, and they get paid peanuts, and they're getting overlooked, and they're a lot better fighters. Yeah, I'm not happy with it. I'm not keen on that. But that fight what's going to happen tonight. He's had one fight and should have won Tyson Fury. So what do you do? But he's been a mixed martial art champion before, hasn't he? So he knows a lot of stuff about the game. But will that have won off? Will that have blipped by Tyson by not doing enough training, etc.? Overlooked. Sometimes you can overlook a fighter, can't you? When you think it's going to be easy. So yeah, it's interesting. A lot of things. What I don't like is when a lad fights, away corner, goes, especially a journeyman. He's fought his heart out. He's won the fight, but he don't get the decision. Uh, you know, the the judges are still biased a lot.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head there, my friend. I mean, in terms of the YouTubers and all that, I agree totally. Um, it should either not happen or it should be a totally different thing. I mean, like you're saying with AJ and that, because this guy's had so many other fights in a different sport, maybe you can, maybe there's a way of looking at that. But when people just come out of nowhere off the internet, I don't agree either. I'm with you on that. And so yeah, some good points. Do you think there's ways that boxing has improved though? I mean, do you think there's any ways where things are better, maybe things are safer, or maybe there's some different ways, or do you just feel that it's mainly gone
I
downhill instead
don't
of?
I don't go to fights now. I just watch it on telly, so I don't know what's going on in the background. It's a show now, so I don't know what they put in place. Because when I walked away, that's it. I haven't done any. I've been to a couple of fights, but that's about it. But I don't have much, uh, the backstage what goes in for it. So yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know about that.
That's fair. That's fair enough. And on that subject, though, mate, as well, I meant to ask you, in the future, do you have any plans of like um training people or passing on any of your knowledge in that type of way? Because I think you'd have a lot to share with people. Um,
Yeah, I did have I took a license as a pro trainer and I had it for about 3 or 4 years, but I didn't get a chance to do it because I was working away all the time, and the job took me away. I was working Monday to Friday, so that wasn't ideal. So if I was training, I was letting people down because I want to be back on a Friday, 3 days in no good to train anybody. Then they need dedication from a proper person. So I kept it going, hopefully to try and down the road, it might change. But yeah, it just took over my life, that work in a way. So yeah, it was hard. So I had to give it up.
Well, that's a shame, but I know I understand. I mean, looking after your family, paying the bills. I mean, they're all top priorities. So, no knocking that at all. I hope, I mean, just personally, just for me to you, I hope in the future you can pass on a little bit of your knowledge because, I'm sure you'd have a lot to share, of what to do right, and obviously some of the pitfalls people should avoid as well. But we'll see what happens with that
Yeah.
side of things. So that's pretty much most of what I had in mind. Is there anything we've missed? Anything you'd like to mention before we wrap this up? Or are you happy with everything
No,
we've covered?
just to anybody who out there what's starting out, just be careful on what you do, your friends, your trainer, your manager, etc. Just make sure they're looking after you right and you're getting the best deal you possibly can, and just enjoy the ride. But just dedicate yourself. You are the pro or you want to party. That's it. Just go get 100%.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to be all in with something like
Yeah.
that as well. Especially because I know it's a terrible cliche, but the idea you don't play boxing, you play every other sport, but you don't play boxing.
No.
It is true, and you got to take it 100% serious. So I'm with you on that. Serious sport with serious consequences. But mate, it's been a pleasure to talk with you. Like I said at the very beginning, we've both had a crazy day, so I appreciate
Yes.
you making the time for this. And yeah, I mean, I hope it inspires a few people who are starting out. I hope it keeps some of the memories of your fights out there as well. I'm sure some of the people who used to watch you, they can watch this and see what you're doing now and everything like that. So it's hopefully it's been nice for you to sort
Yeah.
of reflect a little bit and look back and all that side of things.
No, it's been a
Yeah,
pleasure, Lynn. Thank you very much for that.
yeah. Thank you as well, mate. Thank you as well. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.